All right, here we go again. This time I have the mouse enabled, so we'll be able to see that. Should be fun. You know, it's fun opening this game again and just having a go. All right. So we're working. That's right. We got our bathroom we're still working on. This poor guy's just stuck down here in the bottom of nothing. So we will need an output. And since, you know, I'm kind of placing this a little too close to this hot area right here. By the way, that's F3 to toggle that on. This is the overlays. This is F1 all the way through. This one is Shift F4. So anyways, a small problem with just being a little close to this heat, but you know, ultimately I think that's probably okay. You know what a lot of people like to do is they like to use the sieve and do a closed loop on for like a bathroom. I sometimes like to do that. The issue I have with that is you still have to manage the sieve. So unless you are still automating, unless you have that automated, it's actually like I'd much rather just control the amount of water that I have. That to me is easier. So that's what I generally prefer to do. And then it looks like we need a little bit of love here. So we're just gonna pop a ladder there so we can reach that next spot. In fact, I'm gonna expedite those things. And you'll see as we sort of play on, I tend to play this game in groups of 4. So we'll have our guys like we'll have four bathrooms, 4 showers, 4 sinks, and this whole setup revolves around having 4 of these things. And then also people's schedules will be based on 4s, so it'll all sort of revolve around that. So the next thing I am gonna think about is, for one, so we're researching that, but we need the we need this. We need insulated tile, because that way we're not fighting the heat. But in order to get this, you need the special research. So right now we just have the blue research. We need the purple research now. And that's right here. So do I even want to finish this with the power? Because we might just save that for later and just go get that purple research. Because that's probably what we're going to need. Anyway, so we're just going to take care of that. And then for this, we need some better management of our, we need some compost. So in refinement, you know, you just hit 7 for this. So all the F keys are your overlays. You know, F keys, and then, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are your, those are these, you know, you want to get familiar with their hotkeys. This is just a dump area for the compost. So I'm just gonna put it there. Always pay attention to this guy, because you'll have blueprints that pop in, and you'll want this stuff. Oxalite, that'll give us some more oxygen for a little while. Oxyfern, this is also good, and I might just do this because, so you can see, because the oxalite is the, you know, it's the stuff that we had at the beginning. There's some right here. Oh no, that's fertilizer. Do we have oxalite somewhere? Maybe we have it here. There's some oxalite. So this outputs oxygen. This is what we had initially, but eventually it just goes away. You can see it's just entirely gone. Here's some right here, but it's stuck in this pocket. The oxyfern is great, and I'm gonna set it up right now. Wait, we have our food, so we want to put a planter box down for the oxyfern. And I'm just gonna put it right here. So as you can see, our pump is going, and we have water going up to these spots. So you can see we're actually all good, but the problem is, so green means it's going and up green arrow, that means it's going out. So this is pumping this water, and it's coming and going in. White down means it's going in. See, white down arrow. So you have to connect out to in. I know that can be, it can be weird sometimes. In general, you don't want to stack it like this, where it's just one line going through. You kind of want to do it more like how I did it down here. And look, I missed a spot. Let me fix that. We'll just give that a 9er. And then for your out, you need an out for this stuff to go. So that's going to be my next thing that I'm doing, because we need to make sure, just gonna pause the game. We need to make sure that if this starts getting clogged, then these won't work at all. So, I mean, I love putting the water stuff all right next to each other, but I think that's just not going to work this time around. So, and here's the beautiful thing about this game is, specifically with the water sieves, which honestly I can't remember exactly where the sieve is, or honestly, like, I'm trying to spell it. Can't even spell it right. Water sieve. Here it is. It's in distillation. Oh, it's right in front of my face. This turns polluted water into water. So you can also put water in there and it comes out as water. So if you end up sort of mixing your polluted with your water in like a sort of general dump area, that's not the worst thing, and you can still pump it back into here. Granted, at a certain point you would need to clean it, but right now we're not too worried about germs, though we will be worried about germs soon. I might just, bite the bullet and just do this here. But in the meantime, we're gonna plant our oxyfern. So someone will go grab it and plant it there. And you'll see how this works. So it basically, it absorbs carbon dioxide and outputs oxygen. And this just sort of operates on its own but it needs dirt and water. So this will just start preventing this carbon dioxide. The longer your guys exist up here, the more carbon dioxide there's going to be. So you need to be able to filter it out, filter out their farts. And you can see their farts, coming down. Like, here's a couple, they farted in the shower. And it has, it'll take some time to get down. And in general, this is fine. This is all fine to have. It tends to gravitate down and towards the right, I think. So right here, it's like, they can't breathe in this spot, but they can come up here and breathe. This blue stuff is oxygen, but then this is polluted oxygen here. They can also breathe in polluted oxygen. That's actually a great way to get oxygen, is with polluted oxygen. But you just want to be a little bit careful with that stuff, because diseases will spread. Let's look at our diseases, which is F9. Try to use the hotkeys here. So right now we have some people sort of covered in food poisoning and are gross. So we're gonna take care of that. We're just gonna get rid of these outhouses. We don't need it anymore. The reason I like to do the plumbing first is because you don't have to worry about the diseases. So that's why I just get it on out of there, and we do this. Now, the sink direction, this is something that matters. So when your guys are coming in, I'm just gonna keep these open. When your guys are coming in, they're gonna want to, this is basically like, oh, when do you wash your hands? If they're crossing this way, they won't wash their hands. But if they're going back this way, then they will wash their hands. So I have this closed off, right, into a single room, very intentionally. One, because, you want that washroom bonus. Everyone loves a good washroom. And the bonus you get, if you'll see at the very bottom of this highlight, it says effects, morale +2. So when they walk into this room, they get a morale bonus, and it helps them be able to do more complicated jobs. At a certain point, you have to start worrying about their stress levels. But for now, like here, high morale, net stress. So their stress is down. And this person's upset because they have low oxygen, they have soggy feet. Eventually you want to go take care of that stuff. But there's kind of only so much you can do right now. Messy surroundings is also a problem, so you want like a storage area. Problem with these storage bins is this negative decor. So this also adds to their stress. So you want to be thinking about like, you want to go to the furniture section and start like putting decor items in, you know, hanging pots, sculpting blocks, you know, stuff like this I'll put. And then you want to be very intentional about your, like what type of material you use. Like granite has a 20% plus decor. So if you plant these two things here, you can get a much larger bonus. In fact, this is going to be a permanent spot here. So I'm going to put that there. And then that's going to be a permanent spot as well. So I'm going to put 2 there for someone to go through and put in. You can also do lights. Lights create our output heat. So I tend to not use lights until later because I want to make sure you don't want like the heat to ruin your base, because like things like there's like this thing, if this gets to 40, this oxyfunnel, this gets to 40 degrees Celsius, which is right next to it, you know, it's very close, then you're gonna start getting into trouble, and you won't be able to get rid of this carbon dioxide. You know, there are other ways to do it, but this is just an example. And then you're gonna get hosed later, because this is all like, if their sleeping area starts getting covered with carbon dioxide, that's why you kind of want your beds a little bit higher in your base. So I'm probably going to dig down for my next chunk of a plan, just because of to avoid that. But in general, you just want to think about like the heat and the oxygen. That's sort of oxygen number one, obviously, when you first start. And secondly, is the heat, because the heat's going to come, and you need to be able to fight it. I mean, I'm just, you know, this is actually getting a little bit concerning how much heat is coming in. So I do need to come up with a plan. The best thing to get rid of heat, in my opinion, is by cooling it with a. Now, you know, they have this gas cooler. Let's see. Well, there's the IC fan, which is terrible, but works in certain areas. Carbon skimmer. That's what I was looking for. Let's see. What was it called here? You probably hear my dog in the background. Not the electrolyzer, though we are going to use that a lot. Here we go. What is it? What was it called? I can picture it in my brain. Let's see if we can find it here. Let's see. It is a water-based thing. So let's look at that. Plant water into it. La la la. I should have looked this up before I started recording. Right. You know what? Probably just gonna move on until you know, it'll come up when it comes up. But it's sort of it cools water, essentially. And there is a gas cooler, but it's just not as good, because it's like, I'm sure if you played this game before, you're like screaming at me like, oh my god, you highlighted over it like 4 times already. And I'm sure it's, oh, here it is. The Aqua Tuner, that's right. It's just, yeah, I remember that, you know, who names these things? I'm sure that's an actual thing, Aqua Tuner. But anyways, this is the best because it cools heat, or it cools water, rather. And water retains its heat super well. If you use the gas one, you're sort of wasting your time with like you know, getting the like cooling down heat, cooling down the gas, because it will heat up faster. So you like percentage wise, like bang for buck, that's a better bang for buck. Now I just put this aquifer in her, so I'm probably gonna have to move it after I do this, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mop up this area just so it looks a little bit, it is a little bit nicer, and then I'm gonna consolidate our tank here to there, and then this, I'm actually gonna turn this into a water. Okay, so we're gonna kill this one, and we're just gonna make sure all of our water goes here, and then we're actually just gonna deconstruct this, so now we have a nice water tank that's nice and safe in there. We don't need this anymore, so we're gonna deconstruct that. Okay, so we already have a problem here. So I think this is my fault. So we have polluted water in here. Sometimes you can do that to take it out, but that is an issue with just getting water. So we want to make sure that this has a clear route to getting water. But you know, right now it's okay. But in general, like, because this is gonna be our tank, so you just want to make sure. Okay, missing research station. So we need to build our next research station. It's getting a little crowded here, but you know, this game, you just sort of make space until you can figure out exactly what you're gonna do. And right now, we need to research and get our insulated tiles so we can control the heat that is definitely coming, and we got to take care of that. Okay, and we also need this airflow tile, so that way our stuff can be good. Okay, so this room is too big to be a barracks. So it needs to be 64. So what you do is you just block it off. So I'm just gonna block this off. Otherwise, that's looking good. And then you can use a liquid mesh tile to sort of make sure, oh, hey, any carbon that gets caught down here in our pump area will also kind of migrate over to this fern here. And then you always want access. If there's ever a problem, you want to be able to do it. So this is telling us we need this red. We need someone with the skill to do this. So we're gonna go take a look at our skills here, and let's see. Right here, these little crowns, this is sort of what you have already. So this person, I think we got them because they are a lover of farming and construction. And we're not ready to farm yet, so we're just gonna do construction. You always gotta make sure they have their hats. You know, this game is cute and fun, so you gotta be able to do that. Okay, and then we want to expedite this building in order to. Okay, so we're already having some problems that I can see. Right here, this is clogged, output clogged. So let's see, do I have a temporary means to get rid of this? No. So what I'm gonna do is, oh man, I just don't want to put stuff there. We could reroute and bring it down here, but then that's not great. Let's see, maybe I do make this a sort of dumping area for. See, this is where you're just like, when I first started out, I wouldn't be considering the fact that, like, I think I'd probably be fine to just create the separate chamber here, and then we would just deal with this. Maybe I should do that, because if you're new and starting out, like, maybe you already made this problem and you are looking for a solution. So actually, I'm just gonna create the chamber, and we're going to create it in a bad spot, so that way you can see how we do it. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that this is definitely not big enough for this chamber, but I will expand it down later. Anyways, that's what this is. Create a lip so you don't just get hosed, and then boom, boom. And then you definitely want create it lower. And then we create a bottle emptier thing. Actually, you could probably just do that. Always try and use the least amount of things that you possibly can. That's the name of the game. Okay. So that should cover all of our bases. And now what is the priority? This is a 9 priority, which I think is accurate. I think that is a 9. So we're gonna make these chores 8s, because I think that those are next up in line. Obviously we want that bonus, so as we get more stressed down. Okay, so now they're all showering except for Nisbet for some reason. Let's take a look at our schedule here. So that is bath time. Maybe they just have other priorities. Oh no, they can't because of the output. That's right. All right, so now we need our liquid vent. This is the whole point of doing it like this. So advice, when you're doing this, do it 1 below. So that way if it starts to, it'll get clogged, see? So here's the height of the water, here's the top. If you do it right here, it can maybe spill over. You don't want any spillover, so you do it 1 below. So that way, like, if this is full, it's not going to fill up anymore. And that's how you do it. Now, I don't think I'll be able to reach these middle ones, so here's actually the more efficient way to do it. So you just do every other, and then you do every other just like this, and then you just kill that. You don't really want that extra stuff, and you want them to get the job done and then be through it. And then of course you gotta clear the way so they can actually get into it. So at some point we'll make this a proper system. We'll bring, the clean water tank here and the dirty water tank there, and then we'll put in these insufficient oxygen. Now that's something you want to pay attention to. Oxygen produced last cycle 280, right? And consumed last cycle 290. So you do want to pay attention to that. I think we're okay in general, because this is, look at how breathable this is, right? And this thing is producing quite a bit. And the reason it's stopping is because of the power. So, you just trust your dupes to figure it out. And you'll see as we go, like here, like this carbon dioxide, because it gravitates to the right, down and to the right, we're seeing some really thick stuff here. But this is okay, because as this water tank fills up, which is what we want, it will inevitably go away. And so if this has carbon in it, like, who cares? That's just the way it is. Okay, so here we want our liquid to be polluted water. So this is creating a dump spot for the water. So we previously had this being our dump spot, but now we are getting rid of this. And I think should we move our pitcher pump? Maybe we should. Do we pump all this out into here? Maybe. So, okay. Either way, we're gonna need to pump stuff into here. So we need to think about that. Let's just put that there, and then we'll get our, just to start dumping. But that's an 8. Yeah, we definitely want to do all of this stuff first so we can shower and take our baths there. All right, and actually next we probably should just expedite the actual, like, doing that, so that way it can start to go, and then they can clean it out and get messy and dirty, and that's totally fine. Okay, insulated tiles are actually getting very close, which is good. So now we're gonna need decontamination. We'll get the insulated tiles first. It's priority 1, obviously. And you'll see this problem with polluted water where you need to make sure that you have, we love our hatchlings, some more hatchlings. You'll need to have these things to clean it. Ideally, you would have a closed off system where you don't have to manage that, but right now, this is the best thing to do. And that, because you don't, unless you're getting desperate, you don't really want polluted oxygen like flying around because of the germ spread. So it's one of those things. You got to think about the germ spread and then also consider the fact that you maybe can't do that yet, and that's okay. So it's not the worst thing to just have this being exposed is going to emit polluted oxygen over time. That's just how this stuff works. So anyways, yeah, that's that. Okay, so we have this, and this is sort of an annoying thing, but this just needs water. And here's the problem. So because this is in, I think this is probably reading the polluted water. So that's kind of annoying. So here's, actually, that's a waste. Okay, here's what you do. You do here, and you do, let's see, enable auto bottle. I think that's what does it. So this will deliberately go and grab stuff from here. So they will go pick up bottles and just go pump it into here. Let's see if they actually do it. Maybe that's wrong. If disabled, duplicates will no longer deliver bottles directly from pitcher pumps. This is the pitcher pump. Maybe we just need to... Okay, we'll just see what happens. I mean, in general, they should go take care of that, but they might just be prioritizing doing this garbage labor. And, they're getting hot, they're getting cold. We're starting to have problems, so we're gonna need, let's take a look at our skills. Let's see, where's our scientist? Oh, do we not have I should have gotten a scientist, dang it. Okay, we'll just wait for, we'll wait for the next person. It will be fine. Just, I like to just cross my T's, dot my I's. Okay. Copper ore or iron ore. Iron ore is really good later on. That is not a permanent thing I'm putting there, so I'm just not gonna worry about it. Okay, so now you see very beautifully. Let's find the overlay. All of our poopy water is going in here. Yay. We've created our poopy water, and that's that's the magic. Manual airlock, they're a little slower going in there, but it will trap the polluted oxygen, at least for now. And you'll see we also dipped into some chlorine here. That's okay. Chlorine will sit beneath the oxygen, and we'll take care of that little pocket later. In general, gases are not harmful unless they are stupid hot or whatever. And they're not gonna like going in here, but this is temporary. So, once we get further along in our base, we'll have them very pampered. They'll feel really good about themselves. And that's when we won't, that's when we'll worry about that kind of stuff. So here I see just tiny problems. It's just taking a little bit too long to get to these things. So I'm actually just gonna nix. We're just gonna cancel those. And what they should be doing is, sorry, it's gonna fall. What? They should just kind of be going instead of going up and down and up and down. That's annoying. So you kind of just you make them take the path that you want. That's what you do. so here, that should be, I think that should be enough to get all the way. Can they reach that? Yeah, they can. And it'll tell you, like, oh, that, like, you know, if you try to do something and it's not reachable, they'll let you know, like, you know, if you do that, you know, gray's out, unreachable dig, see? So if it's grayed out like that, then you can't get there. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. This maybe needs to be prioritized a little bit better, because, but, you know, we just sort of forced them into this zone. So I'm gonna actually, let's look at our full priority list here. I think that's a 7. Getting a food is a 7. This is an 8. That's an 8. That's an 8. We're just gonna save the 9s for when it's really important. So it, you know, it's good to like tell them like, hey, this is like the order of business that you should be doing stuff in. Someone needs to get in here and do this. Okay. All right, so we researched that. We still need the advanced research, which we can't do yet, but I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to need this decontamination. It probably doesn't really matter at the moment, actually. So instead, I'm going to look for the park sign, because that's fun. Park sign. So this will also have to come later, but we can get started. You know, we can do the blue research. At least for now. And then our other guys, like we need to start focusing on what we're gonna do next. So this is gonna be our park, and we'll dress this up a little bit later. I think we need a spot to eat next, so that's what we're gonna do. And some of this is a little bit like, you know, let's just design it and have fun. Some of it's like you sort of have to like go through and do this. So I'm gonna go for a great hall. And there are some pretty good examples of great halls that you can do, especially early on. So one of my favorites is this design where you have it sort of like this, and you actually block off this bottom. So, and you'll see why. The sort of the beauty of this is you can have an unrefrigerated thing going on here, and then every single, so if you want a great hall, especially early on, you need a mess table. It needs to be of size, and you need a fancy decor item. So a fancy decor item, you just go look in furniture, you know, there's flower pots, there's wall pots, you know, you just, and you know, be very intentional, like, okay, granite's getting that 20% decor, see that? So you want that 20%. So, you know, you just make it nice. And then here's a reason to break away from the, let's see, demolish. Okay, so when you break out the demolish tool, you want to make sure, like, if you go and demolish right here and your tool filter is all, that's actually going to attempt to demolish the pipe too. So you just want to be careful when you're using the destruction tool. If you want just to play it safe, you can just do buildings, you know, and here's us breaking away from the rule of 4, and you'll see why in just a second. So one thing I love about this game is this sort of the flexibility of how you can approach building some of these things, and how it thinks about certain things. For instance, if food goes bad, if it is exposed to oxygen. So if you say, if we move our food down here to the carbon dioxide, it's actually fine to leave it unrefrigerated. So you could have a little, you know, unrefrigerated chunk for people to get food. And as you know, carbon dioxide farts down here, right? So this fills with their farts, and then you take that, and that actually makes it so your food is unperishable. So that's just an early game hack. I would say hack is probably not the right word, but the one thing you got to make sure of is when you're putting the door in, You want to make sure, you're not venting this thing. Now let's see. Where's my is my 4x4 chamber? Oh, that's right. We're cheating it that way. Okay, so this is what's wrong. Okay, because we want that to be 4x4. Whenever I see a door, you know, I'm always just, you know, just put a little thing. You know, it's good to have all these like feel good things going on. These plants down here, they need to be able to live in carbon dioxide, which that can. Starvation. Uh-oh. See, you get distracted and you say, you know what? Go have some mush bars. Go make some mush bars. And then you look at this and you say, uh-oh. For some reason, they're not picking up this stupid polluted water. So then you say, uh-oh. Pitcher pump. Right here. Emergency pitcher pump. And then you realize what the problem is, and it's that they can't actually get over here. And that's why they're not. And that's what it is. See? Okay, so... See, this happens, you know? Just happens. So, they can't cross here because they need 2. So they could, if it was here, right? Because then they can hop down 2, but they can't hop down 3. And they can't hop over like that. They can hop over 1, like if it's here or there, but not here. That's too far. And they can hop from here to here, but they can't hop from here to here or from here to here. So it's 1 away. So that's why that wasn't working earlier. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. We're gonna expedite this polluted water so that way we can get our. So now they're pulling that out. Okay. Then we turn this back to 9. We disable auto bottle. We don't want that at all. And now we understand why they were having food problems. It's because they couldn't actually get to the food. Isn't that fun? So we're actually doing okay on food. In fact, we're doing okay enough where we're gonna set that to 7 for them to go get their food, and then we're gonna get our leaf on there. And now, rule of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's what we're doing. And I gotta disable my. These are not emergencies. This is an aid. I would say. Always make sure these are open unless there's a reason for them to be closed, because they do slow down your dupes for a second. Like this one doesn't matter, you know. These things that are establishing your rooms. Always make sure they're open, because it takes a second to close them. This one we want to keep closed because we want to make sure we're keeping all that stuff in there. Okay, next, furniture. We need some mess tables in here, and we're just going to call it a 9. We just need our 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all we need. Keep it simple. Someone needs to plant this mirth leaf in here. And then, you know, as you're going through and doing this, you should consider the fact that, you know, dupes need plants, you know, they want conversations. Oh, and we do need a little water cooler in here for them to chat and have little conversations in. So you wanna decorate. They like the space to decorate. They like the bonuses. This is way too large of a room because of that up there. So we're gonna close this off. I didn't even measure this. I just kind of eyeballed it. 105s. 105s. Cancel that. 105 minus 14. So there's my dog, if you can hear her. 91. I think the postman is here. That's what that sound is, if you can hear her. She's a little beagle, so she's not, you know, you look at her, people just laugh at her because she's all scary, you know, and then it's like, okay, like, I could probably, like, kill you if I really wanted to. Okay, so as we continue on, so this needs to be manually watered. These also need to be manually watered. As you're sort of playing, you start to realize things like getting to my water is takes a long time. So they have to come all the way here to go up there. And you think about maybe like we need like a little watering station, you know, like somewhere. So you just grow, right? So right here we have our shower room, so that's going to remain unchanged. We need that extra lip there. And we also, for a sort of watering zone, you will want to give yourself a little bit of space to actually have it. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff you need to think about. Like, how do we create like a zone where our dupes can easily get water for their basic day-to-day needs, right? So we put our little liquid vent, we get our pipe. Now, I hate how this is built, and I'm gonna hate it even more after this because we're using a jumper. So this is just, this water from the green goes up into the white, right? And it'll hit all these whites along this thing. So it goes into this white and then re-outputs here. And this, you want it to feel at least a little bit nice. Okay, so then you place your door. And she's a beaut. Stick it out. And now we're gonna bring this guy into our life, this little light guy, which actually we already have a couple light guys. Let's do this. Let's see, still not enough farts in here, but they'll get there eventually. Now, for some reason this is unassigned. Lyra, that's yours. What are you doing? Eventually you just, for the sleeping spot, because of the light bugs, you want that to be set to auto. In fact, it would be ideal if they were not even in here at all. But, that's just the way it is. Okay, so we have a door here. So we plant our granite sculpting block. And ideally, some poor guy would come through and hit these. Requires learned skill, of course, so let's go take care of that. We have a new blueprint. Dirt is actually really great, so we just take the dirt. And then, I just, doing 4 dupes, like, I'm in no rush. I just want to survive. Some people are like, I launched a rocket by turn 99, and that's how they play. That's just not how I play. Okay, so we have Marie, who likes carrying and art, so we're gonna give her that art. And look at that morale. See, this is what we do. This is what's important. The more skills they know, the more morale is needed. See these higher skills? Look in this corner here as I'm highlighting. See how much it requires, hazmat digging, right? So you gotta start thinking about morale. So this person also loves art and stuff too, which is good. They like building. We'll do farming eventually. This person likes cooking. We'll do the cook doctor. That's how we do it. So we do need to make sure we have a doctor. And this person, it will be a digging and advanced research. So that way we can get our, let's see, we don't care about the park sign yet, but what we really want is the insulated tiles to control our temperatures better. And we're probably just gonna lock this away for now, and we'll sort of see where we go from there. Things are looking good. Things are looking good here. So we made this spot. Got to be careful of sand. Sand will drop, so you have to double dig it. And this and that. So, you just want to make sure you are putting everything together in a way that makes the most sense. Now, can they even reach these? Yes, they can. And in general, you want to be careful, make sure they don't do the water first, but, you know, seems like... So you just kind of do that to make sure. Okay, like, oh, we're gonna cover our bases first, and we actually don't need to worry about that. See, so it's doing all of this stuff first, just what we want. And you can see someone started on this, and look at it's crude. Honestly, they could have done better, you know? It's, you know, everyone's a critic, you know, but look at what it's doing. It's giving me plus 12 decor. The art quality is 5, base value is 5. And you can always, you know, look at your decor overlay and you can see, okay, it's actually kind of doing something. Red is like, you know, you know, red's like, oh no. But in general, light, like these little buggies, like they just spread decor. And look at our eating area. Look at, you know, it's feeling nice. There's a heart. Hey, come eat here, you know? So things are looking up for these guys, you know? They have something to look forward to in their very busy day. And, you know, things could be a lot worse. Well, you know, oxygen, you know, you want to see this strong color, but look, it's starting to get a little purple, barely breathable, so we're starting to have some oxygen problems, but that's okay. And then of course we have our heat problem here, and you know, this carbon's coming along, so that's good. So let's deconstruct this. I don't think I talked about this, but to move from this ration box to this ration box, you just set that priority to 1, and they'll just move it over to the higher priority, which I set as 7. So they'll prioritize putting that stuff away for you as you go. Okay, so how can we make this spot better? So now we have our pitcher pump zone. See? Fun. Now water comes up into here, and now they can get their water. We don't need this anymore. And we can manage this water and put it elsewhere, which I don't think we should do yet because we need to worry about this. We need to hyper prioritize this research. So where's our research guy? You need to get your little butt over there. This mush bar is also needs to be carried out. Yeah, so actually you always want to prioritize this stuff. Sorry about that. That's my alarm to stop playing. All right, you know what? We're just going to do an extra couple seconds here just to make sure. Because we do want to make sure that this stuff is making it into here. And we also, I mean, ideally, we would have the farts all in there. So I'm just going to do a quick little thing. So for those who have no clue what's going on, you'll understand at least how this works. I'm just gonna pump some nasty fart gas right into their living situation. Okay, so emergency construction, and this will just be the last thing we do. I also want to get rid of that, but they can't reach it, so they'll take care of it in a sec. That's actually on slightly lower priority. Okay, so once they hit this, then we're gonna be going. Now, boom, and we're just gonna pump this gas, and then I'm just gonna disable this thing. So that's gonna be the plan of attack. And then, you know, if you have loose stuff, you know, it doesn't hurt to tidy. So there's me, just, if you look at the layer, it'll automatically, you know, like I'm looking at the plumbing overlay layer, it'll automatically like look at the liquid pipes for you, and you can just, you know, start mixing it. They're sleeping. What? Here's things you'll run into. And this is my fault. Poor Ren over here, he's got a full bladder. He's probably gonna pee in this. He's hungry. He fell asleep. I didn't see that he was stuck. So now we have top priority, build this ladder. Luckily Nisbet is responsible enough to come help him out. And there he goes, peeing in there. So not only is he sopping wet from the weird animation, but you know, at least this isn't our water supply anymore. We have this that they can go up and get some stuff in. But you know, how embarrassing for him. How embarrassing for him. You know, sucks to be that guy. You know, I think we'll just put another flower pot in here to make this place a little bit nicer for him. There's probably something better we can do. Okay, so now we have our pump, and it has pumped some carbon into the air. And as we are doing the exercise bike, it's just gonna barely work, but it'll be enough for our purposes to at least get our food better. So we're moving the carbon dioxide as this guy is going. It's just, poor guy is just on gear 6 on a bike, just like barely, it's just barely going. Poor guy. But you know, this is looking a lot better. You know, it's looking a lot better. And that's exactly what we needed to do. We just need this to fill up a little bit better. So that way, we have the sterile atmosphere, decreasing the decay rate of the food. That is the goal, the target goal. And you'll see, like, you need air pressure too. So our air pressure is starting to get a little low in general. So I'm considering just opening this up so we can at least share the polluted oxygen. Okay, let's see. And you'll notice that you might need to start this up again. Okay, so now you just, you disable the building. We're probably gonna need that again, so it's freshly disabled. Now we're starting to have a little bit of some water issues because we're running low. On some water. And I could just stay here all day and play this, but I do need to go and do some work. I had some client feedback come in, so I'm gonna do that. And before I do, I'm just gonna do this because I am gonna distract it. So the reason I am dumping this into our polluted oxygen is because our polluted water is because it already has polluted water in here. And we need to make sure that we have water in this one, regular water. So we don't want no polluted water. It'll clog the pipes and it's harder to manage. So we're gonna pump it all into here. And I'll show you that next time when we get our sieve so we can convert it from this polluted into this standard stuff. Yeah, I think our base is coming along nice. We still don't have we do have our Great Hall bonus. I think, is it 120 tiles? Yeah, so yeah, it is small enough for that. And we have room for expansion. We have a nice water cooler. You can get fancier water at some point, which is always good. And yeah, someone just left their mush bar here, so you'll see some dupes are just very forgetful, like regular people are. Yeah, so you know what, before I go, I'm just gonna do a little bit of this. Oops. Just so I have it all ready to go for next time. This is me, like delay. Okay, well that was good. I think we played on fast mode that whole time. Sometimes you gotta slow it down just to appreciate the animations and all the goofy stuff that they put in this game. So I'm gonna go ahead and save it right there. And see you guys next time.